Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of On Wednesdays We Talk Weird. I'm Asherz and this is
Ivy.
So it has been another weird week. Actually, a couple strange things have happened. One thing, I read an article this week about it's about this chicken farmer who has these chickens. Well, he had like one chicken that started laying green eggs. So like the yolk was green and stuff like that. And
did it have corona?
I don't think so. I don't know if they tested the chicken for corona or not. I don't think so.
Well, probably had Lyme corona.
Well, so it laid green eggs. So what they decided to do was to go ahead and take some of those eggs and incubate them and hatch them. And they hatched the babies, and the babies also laid the green eggs. And so, but he's got more chickens there, so it tells you that it's genetic. Now, a scientist came by and, they're still studying it, but they're assuming that they think it's probably, like whatever it is that the chickens are eating, like feed.
I mean, that would make sense.
It would, but like, why aren't the other chickens that aren't directly related also laying green eggs?
I don't know.
And what's causing them to lay green eggs? When I was a kid, we went to, my mom had this friend and she had a farm and we got to go there. And she had chickens that laid these different colored eggs. Like there was like blue and there was like pink. And I mean, they were like really pale. They weren't like, bright colored or anything like that. And I went to school and I was in like first or second grade. I was really young. And I shared it. Like, what did you do this weekend? And I was like, oh, I went to this farm and we got these eggs or whatever. And they're different colors. And we got a whole carton of them. She gave us a whole carton of the eggs. And, the school sent me to the principal's or the counselor's office because they said that wasn't possible, that a chicken laid these multicolored eggs. And I'm like, we have them, they're at our house, like. And so, yeah, it was weird. And then I went the rest of my life like I knew that those eggs are different colors, and I'm like, well, I follow this this specific radio host on social media, and she has a farm, and she shared pictures of her chicken's eggs, and guess what color they are? They're blue and they're pink and they're different colors. It's a specific species of chicken that lays those kinds of eggs, so it is real. So fuck you, first grade counselor, whatever the fuck your name was. I was right. Fuck all the teachers at that school. I was right. It was so weird though. Like, I don't know why but I guess that tells you how times were different. You know what I mean? There's people that, they thought that I was telling such a lie that, everybody, nobody had heard about chickens laying different colored eggs. That was bizarre.
Now we have the power of the internet.
Right, now we have the internet. So I felt validated. But yeah, so I was reading that article and it was just an interesting, I'm a nerd like that. I want to know why and what. And so we'll find out. Guys, if I have an update on the green eggs, I will let you know.
I think it's Dr. Seuss predicting the future.
He knew.
The new, Nostradamus?
It was Dr. Seuss. Yeah. I could see that. He knew Fox would be wearing socks.
When the new supreme rises, the old one falls.
That's funny. Well, so this week is a very special week. We have now made it 10 episodes with you guys. 10. That means we've been doing this for almost 3 months, 2.5 months.
Yeah.
We've been doing it. We've been at it. We've been doing the damn thing. And one complaint that I have from a specific someone is that Ivy and I don't introduce ourselves at the beginning of the podcast enough. And that, that kind of sparked, that I guess we haven't really gotten to introduce ourselves to you guys formally, or, give you the chance to really know who we are, why we do this, why we started this, what makes us interested in the world of the weird. So we thought that we would do that. We went ahead and we've got some questions from you guys that we are going to go ahead and answer. Now, eventually, because we are still a small podcast, we'll probably do another one in the future, and open up the door for more probably personal questions. But I figured we got enough listeners now, and they're probably curious about us, and our reach is starting to get pretty good. We're starting to get people that come, not from people we already know or people that already follow other content that we make, but people coming from outside. Now, when you Google on Wednesdays We Talk Weird, we are the first options that pop up. So, Yep. So, that's pretty cool. So yeah, we figured we would do like this little Q&A with you guys. So, let's go ahead and get into that. The first question that I think we should start with was a question about how we met and how long we've been friends. Now, I don't really know. I know Ivy and me met sometime in high school. I think the earliest memory I have with you is, I think it's when you were walking with somebody and I ran into them, and I had my collar and leash on because I was a cool goth kid, and then like you walked me, and then the other person that I believe I was friends with, I had handcuffs too, handcuffed me to her. And we were just all handcuffed and leashed and collared together, walking down the hallway. And I think we went to this assembly together. That's one of the first memories that I have. So, I don't know. You probably don't even remember that. I don't know if you have something that could predate that.
I mean, not really, because I don't really remember how I met anybody in high school. I just remember all the goths hung out in one spot, so we all just kind of knew each other.
Right.
Like,
I don't
before
really know.
school, so it didn't even matter, like, what grade you were in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm assuming, like, I don't think we met then, because I feel like I knew you in that situation, but maybe it was the third person that I didn't know. Really, I don't really remember. Yeah, we just all kind of hung out at the same spot, and it's like, oh, you're weird, I'm weird too. Right. So that's how we met, guys. We met because we're weird.
Yeah.
Whatever. I remember one time, and I don't know, this is up to you if you want to leave the story in, but one time we were sitting in like the goth circle or whatever, and you came over and sat on my lap, and your panties were sticking out of your pants. And it was like when you first started wearing panties. And you were like, don't tell anybody.
I don't remember that. That's fucking great, though.
Like, don't tell anybody. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Because if everybody didn't already know.
All right, I never told anybody. But yeah.
Yeah, because Jazz got me...
a pack of panties?
Yeah, she got me some, like arm warmers and, like, the little... whatever it's called, bustier. Yeah, my mom found that.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
no.
But the funny thing is like, she didn't confront me on it. It was just missing one day. I was like, what the fuck?
My mom's like that, too. My mom found my sister's vibrator once, and she just threw it away. Like, you know how hard it is for a minor to get a vibrator?
Right.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I mean, I remember that. I remember going over and hanging out at Royce's house, and like, I can't remember the one time with that one girl. I can't remember her name. I came over with somebody, and like, we got high or whatever. I think we got high like laying out on the trampoline. And like, we just, I don't know, did our makeup and just whatever it was we did. I mean, I don't really remember too much of it, I guess. So that's hard. I mean, how old were we? I don't know. Probably, I mean, I was at least 14.
Well, if you came over when we had the trampoline, that would have been like my sophomore, junior year.
Okay.
So I think it was my junior year.
Okay.
So, I don't know, however old you are when you're a junior, and then subtract 2 years, and that's how old you were.
Yeah, that's true. So I was probably like a freshman. Do you remember when my hair was blonde? Okay. So you didn't know me then?
Well, maybe I did. I just don't remember.
You don't remember? Yeah. Well, that's true. Everybody's dyeing their hair different colors.
Well, not only that.
It was my natural hair color. My
memory is just awful.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Well, I know.
Thanks, Xanax.
Probably. That's probably Xanax. Oh, we're gonna tell drug stories now. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, I think I know that, like, I just, for me in my timeline, in my freshman year of high school, I still had my natural hair color. And then it was over after that. So that's what I remember. So, I mean, yeah, I think that's probably the best answer that we can give you guys. I'm sorry, it's not cooler than that. We could just make up our own story. We should just make up our own story about how we met. That's what me and Jazz do.
Anytime somebody asks, just tell them a different story.
Oh, my best friend, we had to make our own, like, friendsversary date and everything, because we have no idea how long we've been friends. And we talked about it forever. We're like, oh, when it hits 10 years at least, we think. It'll be a big milestone. Right. We don't know when the fuck that was. But, yeah, so we just kind of, you know, she ended up finding a journal entry, and she thinks it's from the day that we met, because she wrote about me, but she was writing about other stuff in her journal, but she thinks that was the first time she ever met me, and there's a date on it. It's like, okay, that's the day. That's what we're gonna say it is.
So by journal entry, yeah, do you mean like a notebook? Did you guys have notebooks?
Are you asking me if
when you were in school, like you had
notebooks
like,
that you passed back and forth?
Notes,
yeah, it was notebooks. Yeah, no, this wasn't one of me and Josh. Never had a notebook. We never had one. I still have some. I do. I still have some of them. I found them the other day. I found them in, you remember Susan? Mm-hmm. She, you know, I found me and hers, and it's just, it's really cringy. It's really bad. I don't know if I'll ever let anybody see it, because it's just so bad. But yeah, I was looking through hers and I's, but no, me and Jazz never had one. Hers, this was like an actual, like, journal, like an actual, like, her personal. Mm. So yeah, I think that's, you know, probably the best answer you're going to get from either of us with our shit-ass memories. So, oh well, sorry guys. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, about 15 years, yeah. I mean, so it's, I guess, half of our lives. That's crazy to think about. Wow, we're so old.
But still so young.
Still so young and got so much left in me. So yeah, I think that was a good one. Okay, so another question we have is, people want to know how you got into tarot readings. How did you discover that was something that you wanted to do?
Well, it just kind of, like, happened. I've always had, like, people around me that did tarot, like Sam. She had tarot in high school, and I probably shouldn't have said her name, but whatever. I'm sure she's fine with it. And, I always just, like, I never had, like, a negative, like, feeling towards it. I was just, like, I grew up apostolic Pentecostal, so I was just kind of like, I don't really want to fuck with some spirits and demons. Yeah. But, you know, I didn't understand it, obviously. But, so I've always been exposed to it, and, like, I've been offered readings or, you know, asked if I wanted to, like, learn about it, and I always said no. But then my coworker one day asked me if I wanted to come over and do some tarot, and I was like, fuck it. And so we go over there, and, like, it's me, her, and this other dude, and just, like, doing these cards and shit, and, like, it just, like, hit me hard. Like, I don't know what the hell I was going through. Yeah. I was going through something. Yeah. And, like, I never experienced it in my life. Like, it was actually kind of a really nice environment to be in. I was around supportive people, so it was really cool. And not like me at all. Like, I was extremely vulnerable. Like, I was, like, bawling my eyes out. Like, it was literally so powerful. Like, the only other time I've cried that hard was at my grandma's funeral. Okay. And, like, I don't know, something about it just really spoke to me, and since then, it's been game over. I got my own.
You've just been on it since then. You know, it was something you needed to do. Would you say your relationship with you and tarot has gone hand in hand with your general spirituality?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because that's kind of like what sparked the whole thing. Like, I've always had, like, different insights into certain things. Like, you know, just, like, following your intuition and things like that. I've always kind of had, like, that natural sense. Yeah. But it definitely helped me tap into that side a whole lot more than, you know, what was typical. Right. Like, it was always there, but it wasn't so strong.
Now, I know it wasn't asked of me specifically, but I got into tarot very recently. I got into tarot probably around, it was like August, September of 2019. And I got into it just because I was really in a weird spot in my life, and I just, like, I knew I was going to have a breakthrough. I wasn't in a negative spot. I wasn't in a bad place. I was just figuring out my life, and like kind of having that little quarter life crisis where I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do with myself and stuff like that. So, actually, I think it was you. I just kind of casually texted you that day, one day, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going through some shit. And you're like, girl, get a tarot deck. And I was like, okay. So I did. I got my first tarot deck, and for the most part, for a long time, I was just doing like daily, like a card pool, and, seeing what it said, and just kind of, and I mean, it always resonated with me. So, just kind of giving me insight into my day and how I should conduct myself. And I was kind of using it to make some decisions about, certain things in my life. And, but very, very recently, I've been kind of getting more into it. But I've been getting more into, like, just following my guides anyway. Like, I've been, really reading about astrology a lot more, and trying to, figure out my daily horoscopes and how, the planets affect me on different days and stuff like that. I've been doing a lot more spell work recently. And, like I said, I've just been kind of using a lot more of my third eye, I suppose, to make decisions. And so I've been kind of, I think I'm going to start getting into tarot on a bigger scale. Not a huge scale, but I don't know. It's just right now I'm not really in a position to say no to much of anything. So I'm just kind of doing everything. And I feel like that's the only way to know if something, fits for you, is to just do it.
Do it, yeah.
That's where I'm at with it, so... The next question we have, we really didn't get a lot of, I guess we got some personal questions. We'll get there. What is your favorite cryptid? Do you have a favorite cryptid? No? You don't have one? There's no mythical creature that resonates with you?
I mean, I guess what really qualifies as a cryptid?
I mean, usually it's something that's, within the realm of possibility of existing scientifically. But that is a good question, because certain things do. Like unicorns. Are unicorns real? I mean, there are horses that have genetic mutations where they grow a horn out of their head. Is that a unicorn?
I mean, I think they could be real.
Then so for you, you've got a large scale of what you would consider a cryptid. So, I mean, I would just say anything mythological that you believe exists that you resonate with.
Well, I've always believed that mermaids have existed, and The Little Mermaid was my favorite Disney movie.
Was that your princess?
Yeah.
Ariel,
well, it's not princess? My princess per se, but...
Oh, okay. It's just one of your favorite movies.
Yeah.
I get that. I
don't know. I always
mermaids or cryptids?
I always liked Jasmine as a princess.
You resonate with her.
But... What's yours?
Belle. Yeah, mine's Belle. I don't know why. I'm just that. I'm that strong, independent female that has to take control of the beast because he can't do it his damn self. So
worthless.
Yeah, that's me. Really selfless. Putting, sacrificing myself to take care of others. But yeah, that's Belle. That's me. But anyway, my favorite cryptid. That's a tough question. I might lose some listeners here. I might lose some followers. Contrary to popular belief, Mothman is not my favorite. And he never really was. I never believed in the Mothman before I started working on this documentary. I always thought it was a bogus story. I've always had an obsession with a couple. Typically, I like things that can fly, and I like things that live in the water, because to me, those are going to be the hardest for us to prove. So they'd be easier to live amongst us because they're away from us. They're not living in the same space that we are. So they probably exist. And just some of the different accounts of them, it's just, some of the stories are too real to be fake. I mean, frankly, just like thunderbirds, giant birds, whatever you want to call them. Even as far as like pterodactyls, or which might sound crazy, but people have seen them. There's a story, I think it happened in the 60s or 70s, I'd have to look it up, where a little boy was playing outside. He wasn't a little boy, he was like, he was like between the ages of like 7 to 10, was playing outside, and his mom is out there for a minute, and this huge ass bird comes and swoops down and picks him up off the ground, tries to take him off and carry him off somewhere, but it couldn't. He was too heavy, and eventually the bird dropped him and went and it rested on this tree for a while. It like sat on this huge pine tree, and then it flew off, and the whole neighborhood saw it. The entire neighborhood saw this happen. So it's like, you're gonna tell me that all those people are in on it? I mean, why couldn't it have done that?
Right. What they do? Just start a group chat?
Oh, right. Back in the 60s and 70s, right. They were not all in on it. That probably happened. Now, some people speculate that it could have been like a condor, because they're big. They are big. But this had to have, in order to carry him at all, it had to have been double the size of a condor. And that's a story that just fascinates me. There's a little like urban legend kind of, it's just a rumor circulating in the cryptozoology community, and it's the famous Thunderbird photo, where supposedly a group of men had hunted and killed one of these huge birds, and they people have claimed that they have seen this picture, and according to people that have seen it, say that it's this huge black bird, and it's like nailed to like the side of a barn, or they've displayed it on the side of the barn somehow, and then there's like 5 to 6 men standing in front of it with their guns, like a trophy hunting picture, but nobody's ever been able to like find the picture and like present it. So it's actually kind of a weird thing, because that would go hand in hand with like a Mandela effect, because so many people claim to have seen it. There's been people that will tell you the title of a specific book that they have seen it in, and you'll go and get the book and there's no picture, and stuff like that. And it's like, so many people know that they've seen it. Or family members will come forward and say, I have a copy of this picture, this was in my family, but then can't locate the picture. So it is a really weird, and there's been fakes. There's one picture, but it's like a pterodactyl on the ground. And so, like, that's another question. Is it a bird? Was it a pterodactyl? What is actually in the picture? Because then if you're talking pterodactyls being alive, you're talking about dinosaurs being alive, then you're opening up a whole new, box of what else then is there.
Dinosaurs are still alive.
They're
birds. Birds are dinosaurs.
Yeah, but they're evolved.
Yeah?
Well, we're talking about dinosaur birds. So I see, they're still around.
Right.
But there's a picture, and it's like a pterodactyl on the ground, and these guys are standing around it, and but it was from the show Twin Peaks. David Lynch, but yeah, and so it was fake, but there's been all kinds of fakes since then, and people are like, oh, this is the picture, and then it's like, no, this isn't, or some pictures you can't find the origin on, and so it's like, is this it? Some pictures are so old, and they're just, it's hard to even make out what they are, but then you can't find an owner to it, so it's like, you don't know if it is or isn't. So it's one of my favorites. And then one thing that I keep telling people that like my dream is to buy a lake house off of Lake Okanagan and watch for Ogopogo. I think he's my favorite sea monster, because he probably exists. I actually did I do a Twitter post every Thursday for Folklore Thursday, and one of them was for Ogopogo. And Ogopogo is has been around the was it Ogopogo that I did? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, has been around the longest, and is in all the native folklore, and people say that the old tales was that you couldn't cross the water safely unless you gave Ogopogo a live sacrifice. So and that was interesting. But nowadays there's still sightings to this day of this thing, and Ogopogo has the most photo evidence, he's got the most video evidence. He probably exists. I think he's probably real. And again, with these sea creatures, they live in the water. We're not always there,
right,
to know that they're there or not. We can't prove that they are or not. So And I mean, not just there. It's like, why are these things? I mean, they're reported in all these different bodies of water, and it's like, at some point, all of that was connected, or those bodies of water, feed into the oceans, and it just, biographically, it makes sense. So, I mean, I think that they're there. I think that they would be more like dinosaurs, because there's some that are like snakes or like serpents or stuff like that. No, I think they're big plesiosaurs. I think
aren't like snakes weird? It's just like this tube animal.
Yeah,
like,
they are weird. Worms too. Worms are even weirder. How about the worms that you cut in half and you have two of them? No, they don't. What do you mean?
I mean, they go through the dirt, so it's just kind of like they're swimming.
Worms are large, microscopic, living creatures. They really are. They really are. They're really very interesting. But yeah, and then snakes are like bigger versions of worms, and and then there's like all kinds of legends of like really big worms. So like SpongeBob did that. They had an episode where. Did you see that episode?
I don't think so.
With the Alaskan bullworm.
Now that you say the name, it does sound familiar.
Yeah, being a parent. But yeah, it was. They had an episode about a giant worm that,
Well, SpongeBob really is a great show, though.
SpongeBob is a really great show. And they say SpongeBob is because, like, the town is supposed to be like a town that's been like hit with like nuclear radiation, and it is. Like, if you look at the fact, you know what? We'll talk about SpongeBob on another day because it is really interesting. But yeah, so favorite cryptids, the ones that can fly and the ones that can swim. But by name, that's hard. Like I said, the only one I can really name off the top of my head that is really close to me is Ogopogo. So
my favorite is the water creature, and your, I guess, favorite is the water creature.
Yeah, we both like water creatures. Yeah. I guess I have air and water, but you have to pick an air one next.
Yeah, I don't know. What kind of...
There's a lot of them. I mean, there's like flying humanoids are a thing.
Does that raccoon Mario count?
Is that... Is Raccoon Mario a cryptid? You think there's a Raccoon Mario out there somewhere in the woods of, I don't know, in the forest?
He technically exists. He's in a video game.
That's true. He does exist. I think they have to be real. But he probably thinks he's real.
I know they have to be real. I was just fucking with you.
I don't know. Like I said, he probably thinks he's real, so. That's a good question, though.
Right. Do video games have consciousness?
Oh, see,
that would suck.
That would really suck.
Especially if you were somebody like Pac-Man or somebody in Mortal Kombat.
Where you just die over and over again.
Mortal Kombat would probably be the worst in like relation to like our actual experience because they're humans and they're literally like, well, some of them, and they're like being like fucking faces smashed.
Whole body split apart.
Have you played like Mortal Kombat 10 and 11?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking brutal.
It is.
It gets old quick, but
yeah, it is really brutal. Yeah, compared to what it used to be. It's pretty bad now.
Mortal Kombat 11 has Sindel, and it's almost enough to make me buy it.
I'm thinking about buying it. I'm thinking about buying Mortal Kombat 11. I don't have it, but I played it. I don't have it. I'll probably buy it. It goes on sale a lot. It's pretty cheap. I'll probably buy it. I think I just read that. Who was
your favorite Mortal Kombat character growing up? There we go.
That's a really good question. Mine was I had a couple. I guess I like Sub-Zero a lot, and I like Scorpion. So I guess I like both of the ninjas. When it came to the movie.
Sonya was that bitch.
Yes, when it came to the movie, yep, Sonya, yep. she was my bitch. But I didn't really like her in the game, so I don't know. Like I said, I like the ninjas in the games. I think it's because I like their deaths better, their KOs. But I didn't play a lot of Mortal Kombat, actually. I played Killer Instinct. That was my game. That was my game of choice.
I don't think I've ever played that.
It's pretty similar. It's not nearly as gory, but it was still pretty gory. They had like some of the characters I remember. There's like a werewolf, like you could play as a werewolf. You could play as a velociraptor. There's like a skeleton. His name's Spinal.
Spinal.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video of Mike Tyson? He's like being interviewed after a like boxing match or whatever, and Like, he's like, I think I broke my back.
No.
And the reporter is like, what part? And he's like, spinal.
No, I haven't seen that. I love Mike Tyson. He's such a treasure.
He really is.
He's the goofy motherfucker we all need. But no, yeah, I played that and it had different characters. My pipe that we smoked out of earlier, it's named after a Killer Instinct character. I named it Glacius. Glacius he's like an ice man. He's like made of ice.
Well, when you said Velociraptor,
Velociraptor. Yeah, you could be a Velociraptor, werewolf, a skeleton. I mean, there was like normal people. There was like this bitch that turned into like a panther. And like, yeah, it was cool. It's a good game. We'll play it sometime. I have it. We'll play it sometime.
I would be for sure.
Yeah, the Panther bitch. Yeah, it was cool.
It's like when I had Mortal Kombat, we weren't supposed to have it, but we did.
Yeah.
And I would always play as Sindel, and I mean, obviously she's my favorite.
Yeah.
But like, my brothers literally made it a rule that I could not be Sindel if I was going to play with them, because all I would get was flawless victories.
That's awesome. Yeah, Killer Instincts, they have their death moves and stuff. So I mean, it was pretty. They probably just didn't have blood and stuff. I don't know why it never rose to fame like Mortal Kombat did, but it was good. Probably because it wasn't in the arcade. Or maybe it was in the arcade. I don't know. But that was a good question. That's a good question. So today we got asked a very personal question by somebody. She asked how she could stop demons from giving her nightmares. And that is a very good question. So she believes that her nightmares are being invaded by demons. She had a very tragic incident happen lately. And the dreams that she's having are extremely personal to that tragedy. They're very specific to that tragedy. And that would make sense that she would be vulnerable to some type of demon activity or something attaching to her while she's that vulnerable. Now, I guess we'll start with this. Ivy, do you believe in demons?
Yes.
Yep. Now, what do you think they are? What do you think they... I mean, if we don't believe in God and the devil, then...
I mean, I ain't never said that.
That's true. Okay, that's fair.
So...
That's true.
Just go on ahead and excuse yourself. No, I'm just kidding. It's basically just a evil entity. Yeah. Whether we like it or not, good and evil exist.
That's true. I agree with that.
We couldn't have good without evil.
Yeah.
Like, good would just be normal. Good would be us, but that's not us. Like, some of us are good, some of us are evil, and the same thing happens in the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
Just like some bacteria is healthy for you, some bacteria is deadly for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of like that. But I mean, I guess if you think about it that way, how would viruses be seen? Are there good viruses?
Well, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria.
So virus is bacteria?
No, viruses and bacteria are different, but they're...
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Similar. I mean, in a sense.
But is there a good virus?
A good virus that you can have. I mean, I wouldn't say so.
I don't think so either.
I wouldn't say so, but there's some that aren't necessarily bad for you. There's some that won't really affect you.
Me.
Right. I mean, compared to like
if you're a man, human papillomavirus.
Right. It doesn't affect men, but it affects women. And sometimes it can affect them horribly.
It affects the people around you.
It affects the people, exactly. That's the takeaway.
But
I agree with that. I mean, I agree that there are, for me, spirituality is very scientific. And so I like to have something to back it. So the way that I see it is that these would just be, I believe in other entities outside of us, and I believe that they are other entities outside of us, and for whatever reason they happen to be nefarious. And maybe it's not that they're not demons. They don't see themselves as demons because maybe they come from different races. Maybe they come from different dimensions,
different
entirely.
Layers of hell.
Right. I mean, so maybe they're just individually bad people, quote unquote people, that come over here to fuck with you because they can, So I believe in it to an extent. I don't think that it is something that is religious for me personally, so. But I believe it because I've had experiences with things, and I think that a lot of quote-unquote demons, what we see as demons, do come out in the form of something that we don't realize as like a physical thing. So like, if you have a particularly bad day, I guess it's probably on a larger scale than that, but just say you have a particularly bad day. I think that's because it's, you just have those days where you just can't, everything goes wrong for no reason. I feel like that's an outside influence. I feel like that would be like a demon. That would be what we would consider like a demon.
Well, it can consume you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's, everybody has their demons,
Right. Like, exactly.
It's like an influence that enters us, and then we have the ability to fight it off or just give up and let it consume us. Well, I mean, not all of us have the ability. Some people,
Some people, don't.
For different reasons,
for whatever reason,
can't handle. I don't know how to even approach that from like a PC standard.
I understand.
I don't want to say the wrong thing, but
I understand.
People with mental illness, they might not have the same abilities that we do, like with schizophrenia.
That's true, and that's very true. Right.
And a lot of people actually, I mean, it used to be that they thought people with schizophrenia were possessed, and they would treat them as such.
That's true, and it was just the brain didn't work the same way.
Right.
Well, that's where the science, there's that blend of science and spirituality, and it's, it's like you gotta find that balance, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of discovering what the balances are and where I believe they both go hand in hand together. I believe they work together.
If anything, science proves that magic exists.
It does.
It doesn't disprove it. I mean, just because you can explain something doesn't mean that it's not magical. Like,
that's true.
You can call it whatever the hell you want, but somebody had to have given it a name.
Right.
It's a function. It's an exchange of energy. It's, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's, at the core, it's magic.
And it can be hard because even though I'm accepting of a lot of things, because I like to operate on a 1% possibility. If there is even a 1% chance that something is real, I'd like to entertain the idea as if it is, because I don't know, and I can't prove or disprove it. And so it can be difficult talking to other people, especially about spirituality and just all this weird shit, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't believe in, but there's a lot of stuff that I do. And there's a lot of stuff that I strongly believe in because I feel like I can at least prove it to myself that it exists. So it's like when I tell people that I'm a witch, they'll automatically assume that I'll believe in, I don't know, like something that they traditionally would believe in.
Well, it's like some people actually believe that the Greek gods and goddesses existed, and some people believe that they are just an energy that is kind of like what's the term? Oh my, archetype.
Yeah. And right, and I think that's kind of, where the difference is between, me and some of them. But then there's so much. That's what I like about, throwing the witch title out there, is because it can mean whatever the fuck I want it to mean. And I feel like, it gives me the freedom to be able to call it what I want. And it's, spirituality, it's very personal. And that's just the way that is. So, but back to demonry, back to demonology. So the weird thing about this question that I picked up on was that this is somebody that we know. It's somebody that we know in real life. And it's also... the question itself was odd because the topic that we talked about last week was sleep. And her specific question was, demons invading her dreams. So, and one thing that Ivy had talked about was a theory on, when you sleep and you dream at night, those dreams are actually happening for real. They're not happening to that body that you fell asleep in. but your consciousness leaves, goes somewhere else, and is that. So, I thought that was interesting, because that could be what's going on. It might not be, but it could be psychological. But sleep is already such a weird thing. What a dirty move for the demon to pull, to have to come to you in your dreams, because that's already a confusing state anyway. So, but I don't know. One thing that we had talked about a lot was how, realistically, and I feel like it's a theme with when you're talking about any negative energies. One thing that you have got to have for yourself is a strong constitution to be able to, kind of block those energies out, whether you think it's a physical entity or, whether it's just a feeling or, what have you. You need to be able to have some type of foundation for yourself to remedy that. And, that's why I don't really fear it. I don't like to mess with demons, but I'm not scared to. So we had talked with a friend a lot about it, and she is kind of in a weird spot where she doesn't have that constitution, and she, like I said, she would be a perfect target for something like this. So, so what do you do when demons invade your dreams? Well, first and foremost, I would say you start working on healing yourself. That's what I would do. And if it starts spilling over, you're not seeing any improvement in your dreams. I would suggest crystals. I would do a couple protection spells. I'd do sleep spells. I'd put different crystals underneath my pillow.
You can get a real dream catcher.
Yeah, get a real dream catcher, or make one.
If you actually purchase a dream catcher, make sure it's made by natives.
Yes, please.
Please support them. Please support them.
They deserve all the support. But yeah, I mean, so those are the steps that I would take. If it does go beyond your realm of what you can do, then at that point I would suggest reaching out. We have referred our friend to a local shop. Should we plug the shop? Should we tell them the name?
I think so. I don't think
she would mind. Yeah. So it's called A Full Moon Rising. It's in Dayton, Ohio. And the lady there is just magnificent.
Yeah, she really is.
She's really, I mean, we were talking about our friend going in and just not really mentioning what was going on, but talking to her.
Even though she'll know.
She'll know, right. She'll know what's going on. And if she can't help her, she'll know somebody that does. So networking is always your friend, especially when you're talking about spirituality. I think it's good to have friends in different groups like that. Mm-hmm. So that way, you can all kind of have a takeaway from each other. Because just because you believe in something different doesn't mean you can't be friends, guys. I mean, I know we kind of bashed Christianity a lot and stuff. I do. But that doesn't mean that I hate Christians. It's just...
Well, Christianity is only bad because of the leadership that it has.
Right. It's the actual Christianity that I dislike. It's not the Christians that I dislike. It can be. But yeah, it is the ideologies, and stuff like that. So, but I think, like I said, I think it's important to know people from all walks of life. And, as long as everybody can be respectful, I'm that person. Like, you're not hurting me. I don't give a fuck what you do. Therefore, you shouldn't give a fuck about what I do if I'm not hurting you. So that's that's where I'm at with that.
Being open-minded is not about having a multitude of beliefs that are on the morally side of good.
Right.
It's being able to be challenged by other thought processes. Right. So if you don't even some things you can only process so much, but you should at least make the attempt to understand it and see kind of what you might learn from the situation. Yeah. It might, solidify your beliefs, or it might actually challenge them and change them a little bit differently.
That's better for you.
Yeah. Right. You need that. Yeah. That's why
that's called growth.
Yeah, that's why we aim to learn, is so we can do what's best.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really, being able to grow is really important, because I'm not here to judge somebody for what they believe in. the thing that I try to think about is, they probably feel as strongly about their spirituality as I do about mine.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's because they have some feeling or something that tells them that it's right, and that's fine. And whatever it is they need to call it, that's up to you, That's one thing
it's
that
no
I
different than us.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's one thing that
core.
I consistently try to do is put myself into other people's shoes. And, that's first and foremost. And, it's something that I will always try to put into practice. I'm pretty good at it. But, yeah, I will always continue to do that. And so, therefore, I'm not going to try to judge people. But, yeah, so it's been a very strange thing because the girl's also she's not really spiritual in any way. She didn't really... I think she's kind of experimenting with different...
Well, she said she just converted. So,
that's right.
I don't want to, give away any illicit details.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
well, we're supposed to take her to the store and help her out. We're gonna try to help her out. We'll keep you guys updated on that situation as well. And we'll definitely see what we can do for her. So hopefully we get that taken care of. But that's our answer. How do you deal with demons in your dreams? Well, you start learning real quick, or you go find somebody else that does know.
Yeah.
That's the answer to that one. So this is a question that it's actually one that I've known about for years, which is probably not fair, but a good friend of mine that I've known for a long time, he wants to know why you won't accept his friend request on Facebook.
Who?
Well, his name's Russ. He was one of my managers when I worked at the movie theater, and we've talked about it for years. We came in one night, and we hung out. I don't know. We used to go watch movies all the time.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about it.
Yeah, well, we would stop and chit chatted with him for a while, and then he had heard me talk about you, and you probably heard me talk about him, and then you guys had actually met one night just randomly at the theater, and then he sent you a friend request, and it was 2 days later. He's like, that bitch still hasn't accepted my friend request. Because he's such a queen. He's an old queen.
We did actually meet.
Yes, you did meet, and I was like, I don't know. I know. I'll ask her about it.
If I meet somebody and they add me, I accept it.
It was weird, and then a week later, he's like, she still didn't accept my friend request. And then now, it's been I don't know, it's probably been 5 years, and still to this day, every time I see, if I talk about you, he's like, she never accepted my friend request. It's still there.
Well, that only makes me not want to accept the friend request more. But
that's what I told him. It's probably now it's just never gonna happen. It's a game now. I love Russ. Now, I absolutely adore Russ, and I highly suggest accepting his friend request.
I will, now that I know.
He just wanted to know. Like I said, he's an old queen. He thought you were throwing him some shade.
No. I must not have just remembered meeting him, or... Well, and there was a period where I was getting a shit ton of friend requests, and I just ignored it for a while, and then I never really went through it. I still have
yeah,
so many.
Yeah,
I'll literally just have to search for him, and then if it's still there. Actually, you know what? Let me just go ahead and do it now.
We're gonna have a live friend requesting. You should delete his and then send him one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You said Russ?
Yeah, Russ.
Well, I don't have... normally when you search somebody's name, it'll tell you if they have a friend request, and I don't have...
Well, he might have deleted it because it was years ago.
Oh, nope, here it is. It still says respond.
That's so funny. He's probably up right now.
So how do I
don't know how you do it. I don't know how you would do it. Well, go hit the respond. Hit respond.
Oh, I thought that would just automatically accept it. See, this is how... I don't even know how to accept a friend request this way. So delete request?
Yeah, delete it and then send him a friend request. And then... Now, it's on you, Russ. Now you have to accept her friend request.
Right, how about that?
You've been requested.
Now every time I see, that bitch still ain't accepted that friend request.
I hope he does it for 5 years. He just goes on till you both die.
Well, in 5 years, he better delete that request.
You gotta delete it, resend another one. Restart the cycle. That's so funny. I thought that was a great question because it's something that him and I have laughed about forever. And so I thought that was a good one to add in there. But, that's... Well, I don't know. I don't think I have any questions at the moment. You guys slacked on the questions. It's my fault. I really didn't prepare anybody for this until like yesterday. So,
I didn't either.
Maybe next time. That's why I think I'm gonna do this again. Life's been weird, guys. It's not been bad. It's just there's been a lot going on with my. I have everything in the world that I have to work on, and so. I need to get better at letting you guys in on the updates. I got a new iPhone and and I decided because I have, better cameras than most TV stations, I'm probably gonna start doing like a vlog and like letting you guys know what I'm working on and stuff like that.
Did you say a blog or a vlog?
A vlog. A vlog, yep. And, that'll probably be on my Twitter. I'm not sure where to put it yet. But I think that would help you guys feel a little bit more engaged. So that's what I'm going to do. What are you working on, Ivy? Are you working on anything right now?
I got some new tarot decks and I'm trying to like really learn about them so I can start using them. Yeah. I'll probably do some posts and kind of explore them with people a little bit. Just to kind of like help myself like get to know them.
Yeah, get used to the cards and stuff.
Because I usually spend about like a week to 2 weeks with each deck individually.
Yeah, we've gotten so many lately.
Yeah, well, I've been sleeping with all of them in my bed. So
is that what you do?
Yeah, that's like the one thing I always do. I always sleep with it. But then I got that celestite stone and I put that in the windowsill above my bed.
Yeah.
And I had that crazy fucking dream. And
that's right.
I haven't been dreaming lately and now I have been. So that's kind of cool. I don't really know how to interpret them, but maybe this will spark an interest.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe. All right, guys. Well, then I guess we will be back here next Wednesday. I don't know what the topic's going to be yet. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but maybe it'll just be, I don't know, Demon Girl update and Weird Dream update. And we'll just do another update episode every week. It'll just be a new update. We'll figure it out. But, all right, then. Well, we will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.